And they actually drop some Cartethyia information. The profile reveal, further Tempest, Cartethyia, loading data. Cartethyia, the wandering knight who traveled across Rina Sita, formerly known as the Blessed Maiden, the vessel of divinity and the queen of gale and tide. She went by the name Fleurdelys, now she's simply a free and unfettered wandering knight. Check the link for more information, blah blah blah. So I don't know if there's going to be way more information here, but they are kind of showing what you can pre-farm for her if you haven't yet. They also show some of the animation for the character. So she's going to be an arrow sword character. You can see all the material you need here. I think Bamboo Iris is going to be a Septimont item. Same for Unfading Glory. That's the boss. And she's a main damage dealer. She deals arrow erosion damage. She has damage amplification and traction, which means you can group enemies together. So here we can see a lot of the animation. Arrow damage dealt by other active resonator in the team to targets with negative status is amplified. That's pretty interesting because she's the main damage dealer, but she can also buff damage from her allies like Chakona, which is really, really cool. Deal arrow damage, inflict arrow erosion on target, summon Sword Shadow 1. That's her intro skill. And she does have an intro skill as Cartethyia, as well as an intro skill as Fleurdelys, which is very, very interesting. So she does have different skills depending on which form she's in. The Fortis Circuit, as Fleurdelys transforms into Fleurdelys, unlocks new moves. When it manifests, Cartethyia is able to freely transform between herself and Fleurdelys. As Fleurdelys, attack restore Forti Gouge when Forti Gouge's full Resistance Liberation finisher is available. There it is. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Resistance Liberation. As Cartethyia, at the cost of HP, transform into Fleurdelys and enter Manifest, during which certain attacks immediately trigger arrow erosion damage. When it manifests, Fleurdelys gains the following effect corresponding to the different types of Sword Shadow recalled. Sword Shadow 1, certain attack propagates the highest stack of arrow erosion on target hit to all nearby enemies. That's really, really cool because basically, if you have one enemy with 20 arrow stacks, then you can just make it so everyone in the area gets all the stacks, right? I don't think it's stacked as 20. I think the max amount is like 6, maybe 9 with Arrow Rover. But it's pretty cool. Sword Shadow 2, the damage interval of arrow erosion damage is reduced and the arrow erosion damage taken by the target is amplified. And 3, certain attacks stagnate the enemy, gaining increased resistance to interruption. So stagnate is pretty cool. This is what we see with Cantarella, for example. Resistance Liberation Finisher, restore HP and deal a massive amount of arrow damage. So there we go. So you lose HP to transform to Cartethyia, and you'll be able to heal yourself through that as well. Now for a skill, arrow damage, inflict arrow erosion on the target, summon Sword Shadow 3. This instant of damage is considered basic attack damage. Oh, interesting. Basic attack. Okay. Arrow damage, inflict arrow erosion on the target, summon Sword Shadow 2. Heavy attack is Sword Shadow 1. This is considered basic attack. Arrow damage and recall also Sword Shadow. The instant damage is also considered arrow erosion damage. So basically, she either deals arrow damage, and most of her attack are considered basic attack. So this is pretty cool. Yeah, so a skill and her heavy attack are all considered basic attacks, so you know what to farm for in terms of echoes. Do keep in mind, she's gonna get a new set in the new patch, so don't pre-farm the echo sets, but you can pre-farm for the resources you need to build her. So yeah, there we go. Combat Guide. Gain enhancement through different Sword Shadows and greatly boost arrow erosion damage output. Inflict arrow erosion and gain substantial damage boost based on the arrow erosion stacks on the target. Cartethyia may freely transform between herself and Fleurdelys. As Cartethyia, the last stage of basic attack, heavy attack, intro skill, and resistance skill of Cartethyia will summon different Sword Shadows. When there are Sword Shadows on the field, Cartethia's plunging attack will recall the Sword Shadows and cause additional damage based on the Sword Shadows recalled. When Cartethia's resistance energy is full, press Resistance Liberation to transform to Fleurdelys and obtain different bonuses effects for a certain period of time based on the Sword Shadow recalled. As Fleurdelys, attacks restore Conviction. When Conviction reaches 120 points, Resistance Liberation Blade of Howling School becomes available, which is the big Excalibur attack. So basically, you want to do basic attack, some heavy attack, and intro skill. With all of those, you're going to get Sword Shadow 1, 2, and 3. Then you recall them to get some large buff. And by using your ultimate, you're going to be doing like big damage and big bonus effect depending on which Sword Shadow you recall. In theory, you want to do all of them. And then once you're in the Fleurdelys state, you can do the massive AoE finisher, right? The ultimate finisher. I have skill. Normal attack, Sword to carve my form. Perform it to 4 consecutive attacks, dealing arrow damage. Following basic attack, Cartethyia stage 4. Inflict 1 stack of arrow erosion on targets hit and summon Sword of Divinity Shadows. Up to 1 Sword of Divinity Shadows may exist for 20 seconds at the same time, blah, blah, blah. Heavy attack, stamina to target, arrow damage, summon the Sword of Discord. Can be done in mid-air. You can have up to 1. It lasts for 20 seconds. It's considered basic attack. Mid-air. Release normal attack person while airborne to perform a plunging attack because of stamina, dealing arrow damage. Press normal attack shortly after the plunging attack to perform basic attack Cartethyia stage 2. So you can basically string your plunging attack into stage 2, which is not super far into the string of attack, but still nice to have. Casting Meteor Attack, Cartethyia recalls all sword shadows. Based on the types and number of sword shadows recalled, perform different forms of plunging attack and obtain the corresponding Heart of Virtue, Mandate of Divinity, and Power of Discord. There it is. So you can actually recall your sword by doing a plunging attack. Or by casting mid-air. Yeah. Dodge counter, she just does arrow damage. Resistance skill, attack the target, launch nearby enemies, and then plunge them to the ground, dealing arrow damage and inflicting 2 stack of arrow erosion on the target hits. This instant damage is considered basic attack damage, can be performed mid-air. Following Cartethyia, resistance skill, summon Sword of Virtue Shadow. Up to 1 Sword of Virtue Shadow can exist for 20 seconds at the same time. So there it is. So we can see here that the skill inflicts 2 stack of arrow erosion. A basic attack, last hit does 1 stack. So here we have 3 ways of getting arrow erosion. Like a way to get 3 stack pretty fast. Resistance Liberation, you reduce your HP by 50%. She transforms into Fleurdelys. She unlocks new move and she enters the manifest state for 12 seconds. It can be performed mid-air. Entering manifest clears all conviction. As Fleurdelys, basic attack Fleurdelys stage 5, mid-air attack Fleurdelys stage 2, and resonance skill may Tempest break the ties, instantly trigger 1 sense of arrow erosion damage, and reduce the arrow erosion stack on the target hit by 1. Ending the state will not clear resonance energy. No HP cost when HP is below 50%. Fleurdelys attacks restore conviction on hit. When conviction reaches 120 points, press resonance liberation to cast resonance liberation, Blade of Howling Skull. When conviction is below 120 points, press resonance liberation to transfer back into Cartethyia. When manifest casting resonance liberation, a knight's heartfelt prayer as Cartethyia has consumed no resonance energy. When Fleurdelys has Heart of Virtue in manifest, basic attack Fleurdelys stage 4 will generate a force field to stagnate the target within the range. Fleurdelys' resistance to interruption increases. Heart of Virtue is removed when manifest ends. When Fleurdelys has Mandate of Divinity in manifest, arrow erosion damage is amplified by 50%, and the damage interval is decreased by 50% for enemies within a certain distance from Fleurdelys. Mandate of Divinity is removed when manifest ends. When Fleurdelys has Power of Discord in manifest, when casting basic attack Fleurdelys stage 5, mid-air attack Fleurdelys stage 2, and then heavy attack Fleurdelys or after resistance skill, may Tempest break the tides, deals damage, raise the arrow erosion stack on all nearby target to the highest count among the target. Power of Discord is removed. Oh my god. So basically, those are all the buffs that you get in manifest from having all of those swords, right? Because once you absorb the sword, you get Heart of Virtue, Mandate of Divinity, and Power of Discord, which basically means that you make enemy take more damage, you get interruption resistance, you deal more arrow erosion damage, you decrease the interval before they take the damage, which means they take the damage faster, and all of that good stuff, so it's a bit crazy. Fleurdelys will transform back to Cartethyia during quest dialogues, makes sense. Environmental interaction animation or using utilities, Fleurdelys can walk on water. Doing so on deep water continuously consumes stamina. When in walking state, Fleurdelys can step out of high place and walk in mid-air by continuously consuming stamina. Oh shit, interesting. Avatar, as Fleurdelys, when conviction is below 120 points, press resistance liberation to perform basic attack, Cartethyia stage 2, and temporarily transform back to Cartethyia, which pauses the time on manifest. Can be cast in mid-air, casting the skill mid-air performs mid-air attack Cartethyia. That's interesting. I can actually transform back to Cartethyia and just pause the timer, so you can just switch back and forth. When manifest, casting resistance liberation, Cartethyia performs basic attack Fleurdelys stage 2 without consuming resistance energy, and transfer back to Fleurdelys, which resumes the timer on manifest. Can be cast in mid-air, casting the skill in mid-air performs mid-air attack Fleurdelys stage 1. So I guess that means that you can switch back and forth between the forms, especially if maybe you haven't absorbed all of the sword for some reason, or you don't have enough points and you don't want manifestation to just go away because it only lasts 12 seconds, right? Blade of Howling Squall. Resistance Liberation, a knight's heartfelt prayer is replaced by Resistance Liberation, Blade of Howling Squall. Blade of Howling Squall removes all conviction, ends manifest, restore 50% max HP, and then deals arrow damage to all targets in area along a straight line in front. Upon hitting the target, remove all stack of arrow erosion on the target. Each stack removed amplifies the damage taken by the target by 20% up to 5 stack. Can be cast in mid-air. So basically, it can deal up to 100% additional damage based on the amount of arrow erosion stacks on the target. That's pretty cool. For the circuit, Tempest, Cartethyia unlocked new moves when she transformed into Fleurdelys. Basic attack, mid-air attack, we saw that before. Heavy attack, we saw that before. Basically, all of her abilities get changed. When Fleurdelys is on the ground, jump to cast the skill, dealing arrow damage and restoring conviction on hit. That's pretty cool. Just by jumping, you can deal an attack. She gets some dodge counter. All of that is basic attack. Resistance skill. She pulls enemy nearby. This is the things to group them. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. Basically, this is pretty cool. It's pretty nice. Less than 20 seconds. This is how she gets a Sword of Discord. She amplifies other resonator arrow damage against enemies that have negative status by 17.5% for 20 seconds, this is a pretty significant buff, to be honest. But only for the active resonator. So gotta keep that in mind. It can't work. So for example, if you activate the Ultra skill and you have Chakona off field that is doing like her music, that's not gonna buff her damage, right? Because she needs to be on the field. So yeah. Inherent skill, a Heart's Truest Wishes, the healing received by all resonator other than Cartethyia Fleurdelys in the team is increased by 20%, and the resistance to interruption is enhanced. Oh shit. So she give interruption resistance to the entire team? That's crazy. If Rover Arrow is in the team, Rover Arrow additionally restores 25 wind strings upon casting Omega Storm. Alright, great. Target with 1 to 3 stacks of arrow erosion take 30% more damage from Cartethyia and Fleurdelys. Target with more than 3 stacks of arrow erosion additionally take 10% more damage for Cartethyia and Fleurdelys for each stack of arrow erosion they have, up to 3 stacks. Okay, so basically up to 6 stacks of arrow erosion. Okay, great. So that's a lot, and that was a real mouthful, but basically lots of information about her, and this is great. Now, there's actually something that really surprised me, and I did not expect, is that they dropped information for her weapon. The Fire's Thorn, the Surging Tide forced the crown of thorns upon the knight, out of which the knight forges his sword. Unburdened by the crowd, the knights waded through roaring waves unwaveringly. What surprised me is that this weapon is actually HP scaling, and I did not expect Cartethyia to be an HP DPS. This came out of nowhere to me. You can see here, basic attack 412, which is relatively low, I think, compared to other 5-star weapons. But she gets a whopping 72.2% HP, which is insane. That's a lot of HP. Now, on top of that, if you see her effect, a Free Knight's Tarantella, max HP is increased by 12%. I'm going to talk about rank 1. 15 seconds after casting intro skill or basic attack, ignore 8% of the target's defense when dealing damage. If the target has at least 1 stack of arrow erosion, the target's damage taken is amplified by 20%. So basically, this weapon gives you a total of 84.2% HP increase, as well as ignoring 8% of the target's defense, and amplifying the damage taken by enemies by 20% as long as they have at least 1 stack of arrow erosion, which is bananas. Like, this weapon is so strong and the HP scaling is insane. Now, the problem with all of this, I think, is that HP scaling characters, we don't have a lot of them, especially not DPSs. And if we look at Wuthering Waves here, and we're going to look at the characters, if we check just sword characters, like, she's not HP scaling, she's not HP scaling, like, no one here is HP scaling, literally, like, no one. Maybe Rover Arrow, but you probably don't want to put this weapon on them. Are they even HP scaling? I don't even know if they are, actually. Let me see. No, they're not. No, there aren't HP scaling either. So the big problem right now is that this weapon is only gonna be useful for Cartethyia. Are we gonna get more sword user that scale off of HP in the future? I have no idea. Straight up, I don't know. So it feels a bit bad maybe to pull for that weapon because we have no idea if it's gonna be useful for anyone else. But also, if you look at the weapons in the game right now, it's not like we really have a lot of them that we can use in Cartethyia in terms of HP scaling weapons, right? There's literally none. Attack, attack, energy regen, attack, 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 energy regen, attack, 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 crit rate, crit damage, energy regen. This is literally the first time we ever get a weapon that is HP scaling. This is the first sword that's HP scaling in the game. Maybe they are adding a 4-star weapon in the game in the next patch that HP scaling, so we can use it for Cartethyia, but maybe not. And if not, it's gonna womp womp. That is gonna womp womp. Now, are you gonna absolutely need that weapon? Probably not. I'm sure a lot of other weapons with like crit damage stats are gonna be good, or crit rate stats are gonna be good enough. And then you're gonna have to build a lot of HP on your echoes. But yeah, this kind of came out of left field for me. I did not expect that at all. So yeah, something to keep in mind. We're gonna have to see if there's gonna be a new 4-star weapon introduced for her in the future, or anything like that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Here we also got like the big recap of the patch coming up, the event calendar. So you can definitely check this out if you want to have all that information and know when things start. I'm not going to go over that, but it's super exciting. This is in basically 2 days.